In this Star Wars Battlefront video, we are going to be taking a look at the current state of the Classic Collection 1 year on from its controversial launch. Before we do dive into everything though, make sure you do subscribe to this channel so you won't miss any future news updates or videos on Battlefront. So, a year ago today, on March 14th, 2024, the Battlefront Classic Collection released after so much excitement. Very quickly, fans realised what a disaster this was. This might go down as probably the biggest failure in Star Wars gaming. It became such a meme and further damaged the Battlefront name. So much has happened since launch, and I've also had a lot of people comment on my videos, including somewhat recently, asking for updates on various things relating to it, so I thought I would address everything in one video. Let's get started with what happened after launch. I'm not going to revisit a lot of stuff that happened at launch because I covered it extensively in several videos and most people that were there knew what happened. So to answer a question I've had a lot, is it worth getting? Are the issues gone? Most of the issues people had at launch were fixed over the few patches that were released post-launch. It's in a state where, yes, it's fine to play. However, patches such as the most recent one they put out broke things that were not broken in the original games. For example, the music does not work on the PS5 version of the game. However, if you install the PS4 version, it does work. So if you want the music, install the PS4 version on your PS5. But the music just never is going to be fixed on the PS5 version. Why? Well, the last update they released for the game was over 9 months ago. On June 20th, I made a video covering the patch notes. It was a small patch and it did fix a bunch of issues that were outstanding from launch and whatnot. Thankfully, that was all well and done. But again, like I said, it introduced new bugs, and there were still a few bugs that needed to be fixed that are still not fixed. There are plenty of things still broken with the game, glaring issues that just should be fixed, and I'll get into in just a moment. But people have asked, will there ever be another update for the Classic Collection? And at this point, probably not. It has been over 9 months, like I said. They were actually seemingly working on future patches, but they never came out. We can take a look at the Steam DB page for the game, and there were patches that were in development after the last patch did officially release. So something went wrong there. I don't know exactly. It also came to my attention more recently that it turns out Aspyr didn't do most of the work on the Classic Collection. It was actually outsourced to a company called Dragon's Lake Entertainment. Now, this company has done a lot of outsourcing for many different projects, much bigger than Battlefront Classic Collection, and they do not list they worked on the Classic Collection on their websites, neither do Aspyr. They are obviously embarrassed to even put their name to it. The reason why people can tell that it was made by Dragon's Lake Entertainment is that a lot of the people in the credits for the Classic Collection work at that company. A few people knowledgeable in the older Star Wars Battlefront games did tell me on Discord that basically some of the files had some references to Dragon's Lake Entertainment. I had never heard of this company before I was told by these people that I trust. And yeah, it seems like they actually did the work and Aspyr outsourced it to them, didn't check over for all the issues, and it released in the mess it was. And then maybe Aspyr then fixed a bunch of the issues, but they apparently no longer work with Dragon's Lake Entertainment following the disaster of this game. Hence why we probably don't have any more updates. Some other issues that the Classic Collection still has is the aiming is not completely correct. It did have some really bad aim acceleration at launch that was corrected, but most people are in agreement that the controller aiming just doesn't feel as right. It doesn't feel like the original still. There are also a bunch of other issues, for example, with how they did the game, just weapons are completely broken, how damage is dealt, stuff like that on certain weapons. So weaponry is broken or it's OP, it's just not a good look. Ultimately, most people probably don't care because they are still playing the Classic Collection. These sort of things should have been fixed before they drop support for the game. A bunch of people did end up just buying the Classic Collection just to play offline single-player content, and that's fair, completely fair. However, one of the big selling points was multiplayer on all platforms. I have been asked by many people, and I've seen plenty of people ask on Reddit, how are the servers now, almost a year after launch? And it's not good. It's been pretty much dead since, like, a couple of days after launch, to be honest. That's just part of the situation. I will say, when you do find games with other people, it's fun. It's just like it was 20 years ago. It's the same fun game, mostly with a few issues, like I mentioned, but just having other people, I much prefer to play against other people than bots, to be perfectly honest. That's one of the reasons why I much prefer the new Battlefront games. If you play on PS5, you're going to have the most luck. There are a few dozen people playing at the peak time, so in the evening US time and such, mostly because that is the only way to play the classic Battlefront games on PlayStation. So if you're on PS5 or PS4, definitely do check out the game there if you do want to play. But again, you're not going to be able to find a full lobby. That said, there are still people playing. I've seen plenty of people recently say the Switch version is dead online. There is virtually no one. I could be wrong. I do remember at some point last year, several months after launch, people were still finding games with people in, but I'd not imagine it's going to be that populated. Xbox is dead as well, mostly because many have the original games on Xbox, the superior versions that people would say, even though it doesn't have multiplayer. If you just want to play the classic Battlefront games and all you care about is single player, you're going to play those original versions through backwards compatibility. And the same can be said for PC. The PC version has not had enough for one full lobby in 4 months. And that doesn't mean every single person was playing on the same lobby, nor does it mean everyone was playing online, because the player count on Steam takes into account everyone that's playing the game, regardless of game mode, not just multiplayer. So, and of the 70 people that were playing back in November, at one certain point, 69 of those could have been playing single player, and one of them could have been playing multiplayer for all we know. But what I will say is, basically ever since the launch of the game, it's had less players than the original Battlefront 2 2005 release, which regularly gets hundreds of players every single day concurrently, which is great for a game that released 20 years ago almost. It just goes to show how much that community values that version over the Classic Collection. Most of the time the Classic Collection hovers around 10 to 30 players, and that includes, like I said, the single player count, so whenever I've logged on it's usually 0 people in a lobby. That is it. No one is to be found effectively. In contrast, Battlefront 2 from DICE has thousands of concurrent players every single day. Although one of the selling points of the PC version is that it works great on Steam Deck, so there is that at least. Although the file size was just another big red flag with this re-release. It's just so huge for no reason. Yes, I know it's AI upscaling, but they didn't even bother to compress it seems like. Now let's talk about a physical release, because this is something that I've had a lot of people ask me about. Back when the Classic Collection launched, a lot of people were saying they were going to hold off buying it because they were going to wait for the inevitable physical release of the game. And I suspected that would have happened, given that Battlefront was huge. The Classic Collection was just doing humongous numbers before it had come out. Even at launch, it obviously did really, really well in terms of sales, despite the issues. Of course, many people pre-ordered the game, not knowing what issues lay ahead. There is no physical edition of the Battlefront Classic Collection, and we are 9 months out, and this is really weird, and here's why. So, typically, Aspire partners with limited run games to physically release their Star Wars re-releases, and their other games that they also re-release. So in the last year they've done, for Star Wars at least, they've done Battlefront Classic Collection in March last year, then they did Bounty Hunter in August, and Jedi Power Battle, so a few different Star Wars re-releases. Battlefront Classic Collection being far, far more popular of any of them. Now here's the thing. Back when Bounty Hunter re-released last year, in less than a month, they had announced a physical re-release through limited run games, and that trend continued with early this year with Jedi Power Battles. Less than a month after release, it came out at the end of January, they announced a physical copy to get. Just the standard disc plus a limited collector's box. There is still no Classic Collection physical copy whatsoever. And you just know that would sell a lot of copies. That includes myself. Someone who purchased the Classic Collection on multiple platforms, was very disappointed with it, does not play it because I don't want to play the mess that it is. However, I would be willing to purchase a physical copy purely for all of the cool limited edition collector stuff they include, because I'm such a huge fan of this franchise. I love these games as a kid, and I continued my love for the past 20 years. And I want to own more cool collectible stuff from this franchise. So if they would have released it, even though I despise what did release, I would have supported it with a physical copy of the collector's edition. I would have bought it. And I'm sure many people would have been in the same boat. People wouldn't be buying it to play this version of the game, but rather the collectibles. I'm sure there will be people, like I said earlier in the video, people were waiting for a physical copy of the game, so they would have just picked up a disc of this, and that's fine. But it's sad that it hasn't happened. I mean, even from a different developer, it's still a Star Wars re-release, but the Dark Forces remaster came out from Night Dive last February, and 4 months after release it got a physical copy. And it already had one, Dark Force. The standard version of Dark Forces had a limited run games variant, and then the remaster got one 4 months after. So the fact that we are now a year away from release, and we still don't have one, it is crazy. It just goes to show how much they fumbled this, and they don't want to even bring the Classic Collection up once again, which is very sad. So that's the state of the Classic Collection 1 year after launch. Mostly fixed. We don't have as many issues as we did at launch, but some issues still remain. Ones that I guess most people don't care about enough, and the population of the servers are, well, less than half a full one. It's not good. It should have been a celebration of these incredible games, but rather it became a dumpster fire, and it forever stained the name of Battlefront once again. Are you still playing the Battlefront Classic Collection? What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like, subscribe so you don't miss any future Star Wars Battlefront videos, and if you do miss any of my previous videos, click on the playlist on the screen right now, and I shall see you in my next video. Goodbye.